a sure thing. Change, change. Expect a miracle change. Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now do change.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Spirit Cafe Show. I'm Barbara Jean,
And I'm Marg.
and we are so delighted that you've joined us today. This is the place of courageous conversations and, just plain ordinary fun. That's what we like to do. So let us begin with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are honored to be meeting on this land that many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people from across Turtle Island call home. We acknowledge and thank the original caretakers and knowledge keepers of this territory, the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat. And we also give thanks to all other Indigenous peoples, recorded and unrecorded, who have shared responsibility for this territory. We also acknowledge, as inhabitants of these lands, that inequity and discrimination continue to affect our BIPOC and 2S LGBTQI family. We are allies and we take an active part in reconciliation. We recognize our oneness and we realize our history, and we choose to take action for the positive. We are one. Well, today it is my great delight to introduce our guest, Rye Anderson, who just happens to be my youngest son. And he is a musician, a very talented individual residing in Nova Scotia, Canada at the moment, and taking on the world in interesting ways through music, mainly music. Rye, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Hi, Rye.
Hello.
Hi. Where are you in Nova Scotia?
I am in the Annapolis Valley in Lawrencetown.
Oh, beautiful.
Not to be mistaken with the Lawrencetown near Halifax.
Okay.
There's 3. I know of the 2 Lawrencetowns.
Okay. Annapolis Valley is gorgeous. Gorgeous. My grandfather was from that area.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Beautiful. So, Rye, you are a musician. Tell us a little bit about that path for you. What's that been like, or what is it that has been most inspiring to you about your music?
It's been kind of a lifelong thing. I've always loved music. I've always listened to a lot of it, sang along to it when I could, learned the lyrics so that I could do that. I got my first guitar at 14, didn't learn to play it until I was 19. And then within 6 months, I was in a band and playing, with some friends and doing different things. And that's progressed to me now playing a wide variety of instruments and different styles. And I taught myself how to sing. So when I was 19, I could not.
Do you write music, Rye? And if so, what are you inspired by?
I write music, but I struggle with it. I have really bad writer's block, and I have to be in the exact right mood to write a song, and it doesn't happen often enough. So, yeah.
I still have that one favorite that you guys wrote when you first moved out of Toronto.
Middle of nowhere.
In the middle, it's called Middle of Nowhere.
Yep.
And it's such great lyrics. Do you recall any of the lyrics in that you could share?
Not really. That one always seemed like one of the more poppy songs I ever wrote.
Yeah.
That was definitely a pop song, just a fun little country ditty. So
Yeah, they'd moved to this small town, and it was like your first day there that you wrote this song, wasn't it?
first week, I think,
Yeah, it
we were
just,
just sitting on the porch, and it just came to us.
yeah, living in the middle of nowhere in a town with 1,000 people, all coming from somewhere. I remember
Yep.
that.
Uh,
Awesome, awesome. And now you're living in Nova Scotia,
Mhm.
and what is the experience there like for you for community, friendship, all that kind of thing? What's
It's pretty good. I've got a little group of friends here, a couple of homesteaders. Yeah, little group, a couple of musician friends, and we do our little get-togethers when we can. Help each other out on our different houses and properties and stuff, so we can all kind of get by.
working together, working together.
it, and when you play now and sing, where do you perform?
For the last couple of years, I've played almost every week at one of the local farmers markets. I just bring my banjo and my foot percussion. I have a kick drum and a tambourine that I play with my feet while I sing and play. And I've been setting that up at the market, and I play for about an hour and a half a week. And then different pubs and a couple of different legions I've played shows at before as well. So.
Mhm.
And how are the crowds? Like, how are you received?
When I'm busking, everyone is super happy. People just, they love it. They walk by, they dance, they get their kids to dance. It's amazing. There's nothing better than kids. Like when they're dancing and having a blast in front of me, it's amazing. I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So through COVID, I'm gathering things reduced a little bit for you in that regard, and now
Yep.
it's in a case of rebuilding.
Mhm.
Any particular challenges that you're finding as a musician, or even as somebody who's relatively new to the province of Nova Scotia?
Um, Getting people to come out to like the bar shows I play. Not as many people know me here yet. They'll know me when they see me at the market, but they don't necessarily come out to see me at shows. But I always have some friends come out and stuff, so it's always at least somebody there.
Yeah, and this is your Instagram page, Rye the Banjo Guy.
Yep.
Rye the Banjo Guy, who plays numerous other instruments as well.
All of these ones and more.
And I've seen you play the piano, which surprised me, but
A little
I
bit.
guess.
It's something I want to actually be able to do. I want to find
Mhm.
someone to teach me how to play like rock and roll piano rather than classical, because I don't want to spend 20 years learning it. I want to spend like a couple of months.
Wow.
So.
Well,
Ambitious. Yay.
you could do it online too. Like there's,
I could. I, I'd like to get at least a couple of in-person lessons to make sure I'm like holding my hands properly and stuff and not doing anything detrimental, picking up bad
yeah,
habits.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, I just got back taking piano lessons, and I gotta say, I'm loving it.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Loving it, loving it.
I'm going to have to get a piano for the next time you visit so that you can just play for me.
There you go. You
Nice.
know what I found out about pianos?
Hmm.
You know, I have always had a piano in my home, which is the oddest thing. I think pretty much my whole life I've had a piano. And I haven't played. You know, I played when I was like 14, and then I haven't really played until the last month. And so that's more than 50 years of
Yeah.
not playing. And what was interesting is when I sat down at the piano, my hands knew exactly what to do.
Hmm. Muscle memory.
Muscle memory. And
Yep.
there's even songs that, you know, I'll look at the notes, but my hands still know what they need to do. And it's fascinating. They're not as flexible as they were,
Hmm.
not as fast, not as
Just happen.
coordinated, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So
Cool.
You
tell
know,
me about
as
what's
we're
that?
having this conversation, what's going through my mind is connection. You
Yeah.
know, they And I think that is so important, not only now, but always, is connection. And Rye, what surfaced for me when you spoke about being at the farmer's market and children, and I'm guessing there's some adults too
Oh
that
yeah.
hum along and dance along, and likely you have never met
Nope.
a lot of these people, and
Nope.
yet you're connected to them. So music, what an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to.
It brings people together. It's something everyone can share. You don't have to. You don't even have to speak the language. You don't have to have language in it. It can be instrumental. You don't have to know how to play it. You don't even really have to know how to dance. Just move.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what all I do. I don't dance, but
Yeah,
I
love.
wiggle while I play.
Well, and even I know your younger sister is, that's a
Mhm.
great picture. Your youngest sister listens to a lot of K-pop.
Okay.
So, Korean music and Japanese music. And of course, she doesn't understand any of it, but loves all of it.
Hmm.
For the bands that she listens to, she really, really enjoys them. And so BTS and Twice and I don't know,
Oh yeah, all them.
all them.
I know them all.
Whoever them are. But you're right, Marg, it's like music brings us together. That's one of the things that I've really noticed wherever you go. There's something about what music does because I think it just resonates so deep within us that I don't know, it just softens the edges a little bit, maybe.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
And it's almost like if I were to hear you play, Rye, I would have this illusion that I know you.
Yeah.
There would be an intimacy
Hmm.
connection that even though I don't know you, but there would be this knowing because of that, because of your instrument, because what you're sharing.
Hmm.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. Exactly right. That's very cool. Very cool. So, how is life in Nova Scotia? Are you finding that there's a welcomeness to newcomers, or what is the sort of flavor of the places you
Um,
found yourself?
well, I came from BC, which is very progressive and forward thinking, and here it is not as much. So that is
Mhm.
hard to get used to. Um,
Right.
People aren't as friendly towards queer folks or other races. Um,
Right.
so that getting used to that is a little tricky for me.
Hmm.
Um, like even growing up in Calgary, I was around it all the time. Alberta's kind of known for that stuff as well. So BC was amazing because it was just loving and progressive and seemed a little
Right.
friendlier. Uh,
And how
that's
was it when you were here in Ontario? Did you
um,
feel
similar to BC. Toronto is just such a big city that you can't not be accepting. There's just
right?
too
Right.
much happening to
Yeah.
be dumb about it.
Yeah, so you'll find lots of people that actually would identify in a similar fashion as you, and therefore there's community. You don't necessarily feel so separate from
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah,
And even just people being accepting of other communities. You don't
right.
necessarily have to be part of the same, but just
Accepting
letting
of.
the other communities be.
Mhm.
Yeah, like allies or whatever. I
Mhm.
think I think allies are really important in
Right.
anything, whether it's in the LGBTQ plus community or if it's, when it comes to different cultures, races, religions. Anytime we have allies, one of the things I was thinking about recently is the areas of discomfort. And I know that one of the things that I look at with allies sometimes is that in order to really be a great ally of, whether it's the LGBTQ community or Black Lives Matter or whatever area we're looking at, I think an ally is somebody who has to be willing to step into a bit of discomfort
Yeah.
in order to come to understand the position the other individual is in. Would
Oh,
you
absolutely.
agree with
If you
that?
can't, if you can't listen to someone else's viewpoint and try to see how they see and experience the world, then you'll just be in your own little bubble and never see what else is out there in the world.
Right, right. So you identify, how do you identify?
Bisexual, pansexual, somewhere in there.
Okay,
Not queer.
Can
okay.
you explain that a little bit more so I understand? We had a bit of a conversation before
Mhm.
coming on, and I said that I have a challenge understanding the different terms that are being brought forward now. Not that they were not in existence before, but now there's
Mhm.
a name, a label.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of
language.
labels, but yeah, language, yes.
Language.
So if you could explain more what how you identify and what that means to you.
Um, so I'm not straight, so I'm attracted to more than just women. Um, I like men. I like non-binary folks. I like trans folks. I'm just attracted to people. The term bisexual, a lot of people think it's very binary, but it tends to mean your gender and not your gender. So
Right.
it includes everybody. And then pansexual tends to not care as much what the gender is. You like the person, and anything else is like an afterthought. Versus bisexual, I guess it's still a part of the person and it's there in the forefront. It's just you like the variety. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think for me, when I think of bisexual, because I would identify as bisexual, when I think of that, I think of my attraction to my same gender, rather than heterosexual, where I would be attracted to a man. And with bisexual, I think of man and woman, like I'm okay with either. I think
Mhm.
um, that's how I think of bisexual. That doesn't mean it's doesn't
It's
mean that,
it's all in how you interpret it,
yeah,
really.
again, language, right? And I'm with
Mhm.
you, Mark. I'm not fond of labels. I think that's why I like to just sit back and think. I think of myself as queer because it's I'm not following the typical hetero norm,
Mhm.
and so queer kind of just you know
It
I'm
sums it up nicely.
Mm,
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and
I think
while
so.
also not feeling the need to be too specific.
Yeah, yeah,
mm,
and even when I think about pansexual, it's like, well, what's the difference between bisexual and pansexual? I look at it and go, well, am I pansexual? Like, I wouldn't, I don't, I sort of look at that going, I don't know, maybe. It's so there's this whole conversation that one thing I know for sure, I'm not a trans person, that I know.
Mhm.
But when it comes to everything else, there's so much, fluidity even in the conversation that it's hard to, sort of go, it has to be this or it has to be that. I don't think it's real black and white like that. I think there's shades of gray here that
It's a rainbow spectrum.
it's a rainbow spectrum.
Everything is on a spectrum. Everything is shades.
Love is love.
Right.
Yes, yes. Way to go, Mark. Yeah. Yeah, love is love. I think that for me is the big one. We are human beings, um, and all of us have been created unique and special.
Mhm.
All of us are exceptional and not the exception.
mm,
I heard Bob the drag queen say that. You are exceptional, not the exception. And that to me really felt great that, to acknowledge that, you're created, however you're created is right.
Mhm.
It's not wrong to be who you are. And I did a show a couple of weeks ago on transgender awareness, and listening to a trans minister talk about, I just want to be me.
Mm.
Why would people attack that?
Yeah.
You know, I
Mhm.
want to be me, you want to be you. We all think a little differently, we all look a little differently. Uh, and if we could just live in our own lane, rather than worrying about what the other guy's doing, I think we'd
Mhm.
probably create a lot more happiness in our lives.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the big deal is. Like
Yeah.
it's very frustrating to me. Like I understand why people want to identify so that perhaps this is my rationale. If I've always been someone who cannot say who I am, show who I am, then I'm going to say, hey, this is who I identify as. I understand that. For me, as I was saying earlier, I don't identify as being queer or gay or lesbian, even though I'm in a long-term female relationship.
Mhm.
For me, it's not about the label. However, I can see that if I was hidden, if people didn't know, I might want to make a statement and say, hey, this is who I am, and I am a lesbian,
Mm.
Yeah.
which I choose not to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, where am I going with this? You can ask me questions if you want. I lost my train of blank, as a friend used to say. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of, going back to the idea of labels, because I have a problem with labels too, is labels can also become borders where, and I think maybe that's why I like the term pansexual, because it sort of takes some of the borders down a little bit. It's like I choose to love, but I love what you're saying, that because I look at, people go, well, I have ADD and I have this and I've got, and we're sticking ourselves in boxes all the time rather than rejoicing in that human experience that we're having, which is so colorful,
Mm,
however it looks, right? So the labels, because in school that becomes a problem. It's like, oh, your child has a lot of energy. Oh, they must be ADHD, so go medicate them. So
yeah.
I can have them in my classroom, sit and be still, right? Like there's labels can be a real problem all the way around. And I know, Rye, you challenged school quite a lot.
Hmm.
And thankfully you did. Eventually, I woke up to the fact that it was okay that you were challenging them. Um, I'm a slow learner sometimes, but I think the school system has done a great disservice to our children
Yep.
when it tries to bring everybody into one box and make that work for everyone.
Hmm.
Um, I think what I love about this conversation is just we're exploring different ideas rather than just one. So, right here, we have different ideas about how we choose to speak about ourselves or our journey or who we think we are. Like, imagine just being able to just show up without somebody going, he, her, she, this, wife, spouse, um, all of these sort of defining things that cause separation,
Yeah.
and instead sort of enjoy each other's unique and remarkableness as individual expressions of life, whatever that means to each person.
That'd be great.
Wouldn't that be
You
cool?
know, I was the trigger for me, and I just got like, is this a counseling session or, um, because it's something surfaced for me, and I'm passionate about, okay, I don't want labels, blah, blah, blah. I think maybe it's because I'm afraid to offend somebody if I don't say the right thing.
Mm,
So
yeah.
perhaps it has nothing to do with how somebody identifies me, because I really don't care. But what if I were to offend you? What if I don't know what the letters of the queer alphabet mean?
Yeah.
Like, what if then I might offend you, and or somebody might judge me because I'm saying the wrong thing.
Yeah. I think that comes into the pronouns a lot, misgendering.
Mhm.
Right? Do you have
Um,
a
I
thought
think
on
it
that?
comes down to just having to be open to being corrected if you do get something wrong. Because we all make mistakes. We're all ignorant of something. We can't know everything. It's just
Yeah.
impossible. And with the million ways that everyone can identify as themselves, there's a lot up there that I think a lot of people are defensive about it because we see a lot of anger and ignorance towards us. When people ask a question, it's to ridicule, not to get answers. So we can be on edge to answer a question, but if it's brought forth from a place of just love and wanting to understand, then I don't think too many people would get offended.
Yeah, um, I think misgendering can be a bit of a challenge. And I know for myself that I remember a couple of years ago going to a restaurant and ordering something, and then somebody asking me, and I went, "Oh, I forgot to tell her that." And then as soon as I said it, I thought, I don't know that this is a her. Like, I'm using that term um, out of habit, right,
Mm-hmm.
for him,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I don't necessarily know that. Um, and so again, I think we're trying to find language that fits with our evolving understanding, and that creates struggle. But I think asking the question, because I'll do that even, with some of these shows, I'll say, well, how do you identify? What are your pronouns? Um, I don't necessarily need to know, if you're straight or gay, but I want to know your pronouns so that when I speak to you, I can use correct what you want, not what I think you should have. But I catch myself still when somebody's going to have a baby or they just have a baby. First
Mhm.
question, is it a boy or a girl?
It's it's our our culture. It's how we've lived
Ingrained.
up until the last few years.
Mhm.
That's a hard thing to get past.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And is there anything wrong with saying, is it a boy or a girl?
Not a thing.
No.
Not a thing. And I had one mom say, well, it's a boy now.
A good way to look at it.
Awesome.
I thought, wow, good on you. And that was the moment when I went, oh, wow, like we need a new question.
Mm.
Like,
Mhm.
tell me about your baby. And friends of ours had a little baby and they refused to give gender to the baby for about a year. And then they just gave up and threw in the towel and went, okay, he's a boy. Um, Knowing full well that that may not be the case down the road. But it was, it was that constant trying to have a conversation without naming that, because it's such an intrinsic part of our culture
Mm.
to
Mhm.
talk about boys and girls
Yeah.
and how they're different. Or yeah, okay,
Mm.
we're going to go to a commercial break. This is just getting juicy here. So you're watching Spirit Cafe show here with myself and Marv Dupuis and our wonderful guest Rye Anderson, and or Rye the banjo guy, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes. You're watching the New Thought Media Network. Stay tuned.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Home Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa. Satya Center. Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey. Unity of Savannah. And Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle. As well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought.
Well, welcome back to Spirit Cafe's show, and we're having a wonderful conversation about what it's like to live on planet Earth and all of the different ways we can show up and how all of it is a-okay, at least in my mind. So, Rye, tell us a little bit about your some of the music that you have written or the style of music that you like is kind of your music is kind of a weird fusion, I think sometimes. It feels a little bit of
A little bit.
kind of bluegrass punk,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a mix. It's a mashup. I like it.
It is. I'm influenced by everything from like the punk and alternative I grew up with in the 90s to heavy metal and industrial I listened to in my late teens and 20s to bluegrass, folk, and country. Like I
Oh,
like
that's a mix.
a bit of everything. But I like dark music. I like minor key songs where it's a little bit sad or just about something not happy.
Does that reflect a consciousness that you have in your life about kind of struggling in some ways with the world around you?
Well, I've always struggled with depression. That's pretty much lifelong for me. So that probably I find comfort in music that's a little sad or a little dark.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what Deja's sharing.
I am a poor, wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world alone. There's no sickness, no danger in this fair land. To it which I go.
That's very cool. Thank you, Deja.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and so I love that it's a perfect example of, you've got the tambourine on your toe, and you got the kick drum that is underneath you that you're hitting. Again, your foot is managing that, and you manage to get the chords all in. So that's very cool, and definitely along the lines of a more dark.
Yeah.
Uh, but isn't that kind of the experience of so many people these days as we get into some of the political unrest or social unrest about difference and how we're spotlighting difference? I'm not sure that it's being helpful to spotlight difference, that somehow we must bring it back to we're all human
Mhm.
and each have our own way of being that. What do you think? Am I making any sense?
That,
That- can I go to what you said about depression, Rye? Are you saying that music helps you through depression?
yes, absolutely. Um, you There was a quote, I think, from Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails, who said, like, who plays famously very dark music. It shows you that there's worse pain than yours, that other people have gone through what you have or worse and got you through it. So you can too.
Hmm,
So it provides hope.
Mhm.
Cool.
interesting.
And
Interesting.
it's cathartic. If you're sad and just have those emotions you want to get out, put on a sad song, cry, you feel better.
Hmm.
Get that energy out of the body.
Mm-hmm.
I will try that sometime. I have a hard time crying. I
I do.
have, yeah, yeah. I have had some significant bouts of severe depression. Thankfully, not for a little while now, but I still struggle to cry and just release. And so perhaps I will look for some music that
Mm.
will help me release.
Worth a shot.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that tidbit. Anybody in particular you would suggest I try?
Rye the banjo guy. He's got
Right.
Sure.
And then I can say, Barbara, your son made me cry.
I have a friend of mine that she messages me every few days. You made me cry today. I'm like, okay, you listen to my songs. Good. I'll take that as a good thing from you.
Yeah, but I think it can trigger that. Lately I cry all the time, so I don't need any support in that area. Not crying would be the place where I need a little support, maybe, because it gets to be too much. But I think for me, I look at some of the things going on in the world and what will really make me cry, because I see so much of the darkness in our world. And what makes me cry is when I see the beautiful blessings, the acts of kindness, the incredible heroic things people will do for each other. Even
Mhm.
though I don't know you, I will do this for you. I will risk my very well being for you. And that's what makes me cry. So it's interesting how we're all just a little bit different. um, I do a show on the New Thought Media Network on Friday nights, about once a month, called And Now the Good News. And so it's a news show, but only good news. And I don't think I have done a single show where I haven't been brought to tears at least once.
Well, that's all.
I'm like, stop it already, stop. You can't tell the story because I'm crying. But I think it's kind of cool that different things trigger us in different ways. And I really love the idea, right, that by listening to these stories, it actually makes you more hopeful for a better experience for yourself.
So you express a form of art in music and your musical instruments. Do you express yourself in art in drawing or painting or in other
Um,
ways?
Not drawing or painting; those are talents I never quite developed. But I am an artist in other ways. I'm a leather worker and a wood carver. So
Oh, awesome.
I've got a wide variety of things. There is one of my owls.
Beautiful.
He is so talented. Uh, okay, I got to brag a little. This
Are you
is
going to cry now?
no, I'm just so happy for him. I look at like this. He made my briefcase for me.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
and my briefcase is made of leather that, recycled leather.
Hmm.
I'm vegan.
No, it was new. That was new leather.
Oh, it was new leather.
Yeah.
Darn. Okay, I wasn't vegan when you made it, so all good.
Perfect.
But I love it. It's really, really beautiful. Um, I should grab it and show you because
Yes,
he's really
please. So, how do you feel when you're creating?
Um, while I'm doing it, it's meditative. It's a way for
Mhm.
me to just zone out and be a part of creating something new. Um, and then afterwards, I like to sit and look at it and just be like, okay, that's something that didn't exist until my brain and fingers made it so. And now it's here, and I like that. So I don't know.
Awesome.
It's fun.
Do you have a hard time?
I like
Sorry?
making. Sorry.
Awesome. I was wondering if you have a hard time letting it go after. I mean,
Um,
okay, so I'm done with it.
it depends on the item. Some
Okay,
things I make that I just won't sell or give away because
right.
I love them.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Barbara.
Isn't that gorgeous?
It is
Holding up
gorgeous.
well.
Of course it is. I never leave my house. I don't get to use it as much as I would have in the past, but it really is a fabulous bag. And, it's got little pockets here
Wow.
for pens and whatever. I mean, it's really beautiful. And he does gnomes.
Oh my.
Yep.
He makes gnomes out of wood, carved gnomes, and
Mhm.
all kinds of things. He's really, and his writing is quite genius when he does it,
Mhm.
whether it's just stories or essays or whatever. I always find that fascinating. As much as you resisted school, you were really good at, especially English.
Yeah.
Your
English and math.
ability, your creative stuff was really strong.
Mhm.
And why did you resist school? Oh, you were going to talk and I
No, that's fine. I struggled in school because I was the weird kid. Um,
Bullied.
I'm on the autism spectrum. I'm queer. I I was the weird kid, and growing up in Calgary, being a little bit effeminate and just not into sports and things like most guys, I got flack for it. So
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting how we decide who gets picked on and who doesn't.
yeah,
Mhm.
And you got bullied a lot in school.
but is what it is. I am stronger now, and those people don't get to know how awesome I am. So
Awesome.
And that you are. And you really like I love how far you've come in your life and how well you're doing. And I know some days it still feels like a heavy load, but you have accomplished an awful lot. And I think sometimes we forget that. We're looking at a certain day going, oh, but, this isn't working or that isn't, or, I've got an injury or whatever. But I think sometimes we have to stop and actually reflect on what it is we have accomplished.
Mhm.
And although not every dream has been fulfilled, or maybe the bank account isn't as full as we'd like it, or whatever our defining note is on our success, if we really take a moment and take a pause, there is a whole lot for you to be grateful for. You are remarkably talented and well loved, I might add.
Thank you.
That's obvious. I already love you, and I just met you.
Oh, you're sweet.
You have,
Rye is
do you have a dog or a cat with you?
I have a dog.
Okay. And
That's
is your
why I
dog
keep looking
visiting
down.
you?
He keeps coming for attention. I think it's his dinner time.
yes.
I wondered because it's a familiar, my dog was just here a few minutes ago and I was patting him. If, oh, look at
Mm,
what's your
Yeah.
pup's name?
What dog is that? That's not my dog.
Oh,
That's
That's a
somebody
dog.
else's dog.
Yep.
Get JR to come up so we can
Here.
see him.
Come here. Up. Up, up. Hey, guy. Okay.
He's a big guy. There he
oh,
There he
is.
is.
beautiful.
He's
back.
pretty. Oh, sorry, we messed up your your angles. Yeah, he's a pretty great dog. He just is so lovely. Big guy, but really, really great.
Mhm.
Oh, but really, really great. That was a silly way of phrasing it. He's a big and beautiful dog. I loved when I was at your other house, and the minute Rye would go outside, JR would be on the couch and looking out the window like this, waiting.
Yep.
Where's my owner? Where's that guy?
There's my buddy, my human.
Where's my human?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's my guy.
Yeah, he's pretty great. He's pretty great.
Yeah.
Um,
He's
Is he
making friends in
shepherd?
the neighborhood. What's that?
Is he shepherd?
He is not. He looks
Oh,
like it.
yeah.
He is a boxer mastiff pit bull, Malamute timber wolf, Arctic wolf.
Wow.
Yep.
he's the
A friend
mix.
of mine has his mom, and she's just a big white husky wolf, and she got knocked up by a bully mix, and I got a black and tan shepherd looking dog out of it.
Wow.
Oh, there's a good picture.
There he
Oh,
is. There's my happy
beautiful.
boy.
Yeah,
He's a tall corgi.
he's very
Oh,
yeah.
A
He's a
giant
big
Shiba
dog.
Inu.
Oh
Sorry,
my
honey, I
goodness.
overspoke you.
Oh, he's a very tall corgi or a giant Shiba Inu.
Wow. Beautiful.
And the most loving, sweetest dog I have ever met. Like he's
Yeah.
he's a doll.
He really is. He's kind of like his owner.
That's where he gets it from, I guess.
I think so. I think so. It's interesting because when I think about, like, you're a pretty big guy, and it's interesting. Looking at your tattoos and piercings and stuff like that, there might be some people who go, "Ooh, and the beard, I better cross the street because this guy's looking pretty mean and tough." Um, but the gentlest, sweetest, most loving soul of anyone I've ever known, I think you have a quality of being with people that is really a gift. And I think I'd like to see more of that in our world, where we stop judging because somebody, looks like they're bigger than me or whatever, and we automatically make an assumption about who they are,
Hmm.
rather than having a conversation and discovering who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I even think of you and your brother. I mean, you're night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the face closely, you can see that there is family resemblance.
Hmm.
But you look so different. And you look like the scary one.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I think Curtis is more one that could be uh, a tougher one than you ever could. Like you just
Yeah.
wouldn't go there.
I'm a softie. I'm a teddy bear.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, you're both great, but yeah, it's just different nature, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and you really are a very soft and loving person. As we're getting down to our last 10 minutes here, is there one thing in particular you would like people to know about you and your music, and just life in general, what you bring to the world right now?
Um, just take me for who I am. Let me be. I guess. I don't know.
Let me live in my own lane and you live in yours, and we'll get along fine.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Any big plans moving forward with your music? Anything you really would like to accomplish that you haven't?
Um, I want to do some more recording soon. I gotta set up a computer so that I can do that. Because I've got some songs that I want to record in here with various different instruments. I want to have guitar, banjo, electric guitar, bass, everything on a song,
Mhm.
just to see what it sounds like. Because I
Awesome.
can only play one thing at a time usually, other than foot percussion.
Other than your foot percussion, yeah. And a piano. I guess that's on the list to come to your home
Yeah,
soon.
I have an organ. It's like a standing one-sided accordion.
Mhm.
That, but again, I don't really know how to play it. I know a couple of chords. That's about it.
Yeah. Oh, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out.
Do you ever play or listen to religious music?
Not really. No, I really like gospel. A lot of listening to bluegrass, you do tend to listen to a lot of gospel. The
Mhm.
two go together very well,
Yeah.
and it doesn't bother me. But I won't usually seek out like Christian rock or anything.
Yeah.
But even Johnny Cash, all his old gospel stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Johnny Cash is great. You've covered a couple of his,
oh yeah.
which are really, really good.
My dog is named J.R. Cash. So
Wow. That's cool. That's cool. I think I hear you because I'm not a country fan, but there are some religious songs that the beat is so amazing and uplifting, even though I don't appreciate the words at all. The
and
music is,
it's good marketing for what they did. Like music brings people together, and they capitalized on that very well.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So you can start
What
to
brings a
ignore.
lot of people to church is the songs.
It's true. If the music's really good, people will come.
Yep.
Um, and I was talking to somebody earlier about some of the lyrics in some of the Christian songs, and they're going like, I like the music, but the lyrics are a bit questionable and make me feel bad. It's like, I'm a sinner, or I'm broken somehow, and
Yeah.
finding a way to come up with something. I remember Genevieve singing the song "Jesus Take the Wheel," which is definitely a country type song, and about a woman driving and slipping on ice and just surrendering. Really is what that's about,
Mm.
surrendering to that higher power, whatever you want to call it. But I listen to those lyrics, and I want to change them right away, because
Yeah.
it's that idea of separation for me is not conducive to the spiritual path that I choose to walk.
Hmm.
So it's, and I think language matters.
It
How,
does.
yeah, how I
Yourself.
use it, how I speak about it,
Yeah.
makes a big difference. Big
Well, and
difference.
if you're told that you're broken, that you're a sinner, that there's something wrong with you your whole life, that gets in there. that causes damage. That's not healthy. We're
Hmm.
beautiful, unique people. Like, just do yourself, be happy.
I like that. I like that. Mark, do you have any final thoughts for today? Anything you'd like people to take away?
I don't know. I think there could be a whole conversation on the subject that I just brought up.
I
Um,
think so too.
Right. I'm known to be the poker of the bear, so that's where I'm going with that. I've so enjoyed this show. Your candor, you present Rye as a gentle, loving human being, and it's been such a pleasure to meet you and to spend time with you. So thank you.
Thank you. It was lovely to meet you.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of 40 plus years, and we had our challenges when he was little, and I was trying to make him something, make him into something, because that's what parents do.
Hmm.
And I woke up one day and realized, oh, wait a minute, he's already made into something, and it's quite perfect.
Mm,
Just need some encouragement.
Yeah, I think that journey, whether it's around parenting or whatever we're doing, finding space for people to just be who they are. I may not always understand, but I'm willing to ask questions. I'm also willing to do research if I don't understand something. And
Hmm.
there's this thing on our computers. My husband likes to say, "Go to the Google."
mm,
Whatever it is we want to know, whenever we want to know it, it's right there at our fingertips. And
Hmm.
I think if we would just all stay in our own lane and live our lives and find a way to be receptive, open, and caring about others, there is a transformation that occurs that might just lead us to a more peaceful, loving world.
mhm,
But it
mhm,
does require each one of us to simply look after ourselves
Hmm.
mhm.
and not expect everybody else to live the life the way I'd live it.
Right. And
That's
parents, I think it's important to forgive oneself too, as a parent. And there's so many things that I would have done different, and
me
I
too.
was learning and growing, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And we can be grateful. Like, I'm really grateful to my children that they've forgiven all my missteps along the way. And we have a beautiful, loving relationship. And that we're all evolving, right? But you're right. As parents, we have to forgive ourselves if we think that we've done something wrong, or we know we've done something wrong that
Yes, you
may
do.
have caused our children some pain. Yeah, see, he's going, oh yeah.
Forgive yourself.
I could tell you a
Forgive
story.
Mm.
I love you so
Actually, what
much.
I'm hearing Rai say is yes to forgiveness.
Yep.
I think that's what he was saying. It was the look on his face that was like, yeah, we got a lot to forgive.
No, I'm telling you to forgive yourself. I
Yeah.
have forgiven.
Yeah, no, I have, every now and again, I will remember something and go, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that or
Mhm.
said that. But the
Yeah.
reality of it is it all brought us to now.
And
And so,
everything made me who I am, made our relationship what it is, made you who you are.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
no point in changing anything. It
True.
is what it is.
It is what it is. I love you both.
I love
Rye,
you too.
thank you so much for saying yes. Mark, thank you for stepping in. Cheryl is off on a family emergency in South Africa and we'll be back soon. We will be running reruns, so some of your favorite shows are going to be coming up the next few weeks. You're watching Spirit Cafe Show here on the New Thought Media Network, and we will be back soon as can be, right after the holidays. Have a wonderful holiday, everyone. Many blessings.
Mhm.